group chat already. But RD, what you are using seems to be incomplete, and I would be interested to see the link that you have used to access it. Scroll up a little bit in the group chat and you can see the link to the appropriate resource. And that is what you should be using. Good. During the break, I hope you have been working on the sample lab, and I'm going to show you solution. So you need to make sure that new users require a password with a maximum validity of 90 days. How are we going to do that? Well, you are going to do that using Vim on etc login.devs. Login.devs is this passwd option. And where is it again? Pass max days, that's the one. So if you want new users to have a password that's valid no longer than 90 days, this is what you need to do. Then ensure that while creating a user, an empty file with the name new file is created to their home directory. How do we do that? Well, to create an empty file, you need the touch command. And if you would use touch to create that file in etc scal new file, then that should be working for you. Next, create users, Anna, Anouk, Linda, and Lisa. Hey, let's do that the fancy way. 4i in, Anna, Anouk, Linda, Lisa. Do user add $I done. I'm using a small scripting structure here. It's an iteration, and this iteration will go over the list Anna, Anouk, Linda, Lisa. While going over the list, the item is stored in a temporary variable with the name I, and that is what we are using in the second part, do user add $I. That will create the user that we are currently treating. And then done is the end of it. And of course, I'm getting error messages that users already exist. That's because of my demos. I'm going to ignore that because that's unlikely to be seen on the real exam. SJ is asking, just a question, we cannot use grep and set to change the password maximum validity. SJ, of course you can use grep to change the password maximum validity. Did I say grep? Set is what I wanted to say. But don't do that. Rule number 1 on the exam is keep it simple. If you are going to use set and you happen to make a mistake that messes up your entire etc login.devs, you will lose so much time in troubleshooting that really I would not advise you to do that. But in the end, remember what I said before, it's not about how you do it, it's about doing it. That's the only thing that counts. As long as you are doing what they're asking you to do on the exam, then you're okay. Good. Next, set the password for all users to password. Hey, that's a nice one. That will be, again, for I in Anna, Anouk, Linda, Lisa. Do echo password pipe pass WD -- standard in $I semicolon done. And in case you are wondering, hey, Sander, I don't understand what you are doing here. I don't like this complex structure. Can I also do it the old-fashioned way? Of course you can do it the old-fashioned way. If you want to use pass WD Lisa and do this for all users, that is totally okay. It's your choice. And you should do what works, and as long as it works, it is all right. Then create groups profs and students. So group add profs and group add students. And we need to make users Anna and Anouk members of profs and Linda and Lisa members of students. So that will be user mod -AG profs for Anna as well as Anouk, and user mod -AG students for Lisa as well as Linda. And that is how it works. And in case you are wondering, Sander, nobody is telling us if it needs to be a primary group on us or a secondary group. If ever you get in a situation on the exam where you feel like you are missing vital information, which is basically the case here, because it's pretty important to know if you need a primary group or a secondary group, then I would suggest go for the most obvious solution. And B is asking, does the echo password standard in user work with sudo or only root? Hey, and B, that's a nice question. Shall we try that? So sudo echo password pipe pass wd minus minus standard in std in. Lisa, does that work? Oh, only a root can do that. Why is that? That's because of an interpretation problem with pipes in sudo. Before I continue, you should observe here that using sudo in this configuration makes it a lot more complex. But if you want to use sudo to run a command that contains a pipe, this is how you want to do this. Sudo sh minus c echo password pass wd standard in. That should be doing it. Entering the password, and there we go, all authentication tokens updated successfully. So you use sudo, and then you use sh minus c, and the entire command, including the pipe between double quotes. And that is how it works. I'm not going to make it any more difficult. I'm going back into my sudo -i environment, if you don't mind. DM is asking if you get the user already exists error on the exam. First, DM, I think that is very unlikely. But then I continue to read. You will need to change the user expiration date and put new file in their home space. DM, I think what you are mentioning here is a situation that is really unlikely to occur on the exam. They are not going to ask you to create users and then present the fact that the user already exists. Very unlikely. But in the unlikely case that it's happening anyway, I would just copy new file in the home directory manually. But again, very unlikely. SJ is asking, even a new added user, we need to use append option to make a user a group member. SJ, that's a good point. What you are mentioning here is user mod -ag. But SJ, that is how I'm dealing with the limited capacity in my brain. I don't want to be thinking about, oh, do I need -uppercase G or -a uppercase G? When I'm managing secondary group membership, I'm always using -ag. That makes it you don't have to think about exceptions that much anymore. Right. Let me check. Where were we? I just have used the password, and let me finish this, and then I'll answer your question, MA. Because there's a couple more things to do. Create the groups. I already created the groups, and make the users a member. Oh, I already did that. So I need to check my work. How do I check my work? Well, as JP is mentioning, ID username. ID username is showing all the users that you're a member of. Maybe you also want to test the password. Then I would say go to a non-root shell and use su minus user. So su minus Anna, it's prompting for the password. And there we go. We have the password. And it works. Now, if you want to check the expiration settings, CHH or change. I'm typing change. Why do I do that? I don't know. Change -help, because I know that change has an option that is listing the current settings. -L for list. That kind of makes sense. So change -L on user Anna. And what do we see? Maximum numbers of days between password changes. That's verifying that the password option is set all right. You can use change in case you just figured out that you've done it wrong. Let's imagine that you created the user before setting the password option. Then what are you going to do? Change username, which is prompting minimum password age, maximum password age. Here you can change it for your users, and that will do it for you. You can even go the geek way. If you go into etc shadow, in etc shadow you can see where is it. There you go, 80 and 90. That's the password expiration. So users Linda and Lisa would be wrong if this is an exam question, right? So how am I going to fix my users Linda and Lisa? Well, etc shadow is a read-only file. Oh my goodness. VIPW. I know that VIPW can be used to edit etc shadow. So where is it? VIPW -S. And that's giving me a shadow edit. Is that going to work? Let's try and see how far we are getting. And I'm changing it to, oh boy, it's still giving me a warning, changing a read-only file. Did you notice that? Doesn't work. So I can do whatever I want, but it's giving me changing a read-only file, even if I'm root. What's going on? Well, let me show you. ls-l on etc shadow. ls-l on etc shadow is giving me no permissions for anybody. And that means that as user root, I can't edit my etc shadow. But hey, chmod plus u plus rw on etc shadow. Now it's read writable, and then I do minus directly in different way. That limit you can always do it. So if you want to see or that can also be done. About the different parts of the JD and JD. Oh boy, I'm having connection failure. Joan, listening, I'm getting connection failure messages. I need an urgent confirmation that I'm still audible. Everybody still hear me? Please do let me know.
Hi, Sander. We can hear you, but if you want to do a browser refresh right now, I don't think it would hurt.
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you, Joan.
You're welcome. Hi, everyone. We got the message. We're working on it, so just please bear with us. Thank you. Thank you guys for your patience. We'll get started here shortly.
Live on ABC.
again. Thanks again for your patience.
I think you see me again. If that's the case, please.
Confirmed, we can see and hear you.
Getting back to where we were. Folks, but and there's a lot of service between you and me that I'm audible again, and I'm picking it up at the VIPW. So what did we just do? I use VIPW as to edit the ETC shadow and to change. That was as a reaction.
Hi, Senator. Sorry to interrupt. Your audio.
Yes, John?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Your audio is choppy still.
All right. In that case, Joan, I'm going to reset my router and I will be back in 5 minutes. Seems like the wise thing to do. I already went pretty deep to set the router, and let's see if that helps.
Okay, we'll do a 5-minute break. Thank you. Hear you loud and clear. You want to continue to talk for just a few seconds and I'll let you know if it's choppy?
Yes, it's a good idea. Can the audience hear me as well?
The audience can hear you as well, yes.
Okay, hey everybody. I think I'm back. This is just a sound check before we are continuing, and I'm going to say some random stuff. And the random stuff.
And we're getting emojis, we're getting hand claps, so it is better. Thank you, Sander.
Okay. Hey folks, fun story. I'm in IT, so I believe in redundancy, and this is where redundancy is helping me. Right, so yeah, can you believe it or not? I have 2 internet connections, so I really hope this is going to be better. And let's continue. I think with all of this stuff that I covered the solution for the lab, and I am just going to pick it up where we left, and that will be our next topic. And the next topic is gonna be Windows, no AK, permissions. Couple of slides, little bit of demo, then we do permissions, and I'm trying to wrap it up as much as we can before we go on the break. It would be lovely if after the break we can start partitions pretty soon. So permissions, please make sure that you see the slide so that you can follow along and you can see what I'm talking about. First thing about permissions is ownership. So to determine which permissions a user has, Linux uses ownership. And this file ownership is, well, leading. Every file has a user owner, a group owner, and the others entity. And this user owner, group owner, and others entity have their permissions assigned. Let me do a quick demo. ls-l on /home/Linda. Let me make that ls-ld so that you can see the properties of the directory instead of the content. What do we see? We see that the file, in this case a directory, but from a Linux perspective, they are kind of the same. So the file is home Linda. The user owner is user Linda. The group owner is group Linda. And the permissions are set to RWX, nothing, 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 and nothing, nothing, nothing. So what is the RWX? That's permissions assigned to the user owner. Stands for read, write, and execute. Groups has nothing, and others has nothing as well. If you do that again, ls minus L on etc hosts, what do we see? etc host is one of the system files owned by user root by group root. User root has the first set of 3 permissions, read and write. Group root has the second set of 3, only read, and others also has only read. Now the next thing on the slides that you see is that Linux permissions are not additive. If you're the owner, permissions are applied, and that's all. Now that means something funny. Let me do a touch/tmp/test file, and let me use chown Linda colon what? Linda was a student. Linda colon student on etc. No, not on etc. On tmp test file. Oh, test files, whatever. ls minus L on tmp test files is showing this, and now it's pretty clear. User Linda can read and write the test file. But I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm using chmod 0, 7, well, 7 doesn't make sense, 6, 0, tmp test files. I'm making a typo again. I'm so sorry. There we go. I've set the permission mode on tmp test files using ls minus L. Do I need to do that? No, I'm going to use id Linda. Now what do we see? We see user Linda as a member of the group students. Using ls minus L on tmp test files, and there we can see that the file is owned by user Linda and also owned by group students. Student, singular. What are we going to do now? Oh, I made a mistake. Do you see that? That's a nasty mistake. My group is students. I also have a group student because I'm using the user student by default. So I need to do a quick fix using chgrp students, plural, on tmp test files. There we go, double checking, and everything is okay now. Now what I want to show you is what happens if I'm opening a shell as user Linda. Linda is doing cat on tmp test files, and what does she get? Permission denied. This demonstrates that if you are the owner, permissions are applied, and that's all. So the Linux permission assigning algorithm is exit on match. It will first check, are you the user owner? If yes, apply permissions, look no further. If no, are you the group owner? If yes, apply permissions, look no further. If no, you get the permissions of the other user. So that's a curious fact that you should be aware of here in this case. Now, fortunately, user Linda is the owner of TMP test files, and as such, she should be able to use chmod 660 on TMP test files and repair the permissions in a way that suits her. And now at least she can read the empty file. We don't see any content, but hey, that's obvious because it's an empty file, isn't it? Good. So by the way, we have already seen a lot of commands related to permissions. I wanted to turn it around and introduce these commands before talking about them on the slides. We know that with ls-l you can see current ownership and associated permissions. What I would really recommend if you are going to manage permissions, set your ownership before you are modifying the permissions. That really makes it a lot easier and avoids you from being confused about what you are doing. All right, what else? Well, changing file ownership. Now this is going to be pretty easy. We